Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So the question on most cricket lovers' lips at the moment is who's going to win the first test in the current Ashes series being played at Edgbaston in England between Australia and England at the moment. It's the last day of the test matches. Those who don't know, test matches, cricket matches go for 5 days, and this is day 5. And if you don't know cricket, each team bats twice. And whoever's got the most runs at the end of that batting twice, and whoever's been got out for less than that, in other words, you can't, you've got to dismiss the other team before they score the amount of runs to win the game. So we're in a situation at the moment in this test match in England whereby England, where is it? I'll just read it off of here somewhere. The first Ashes test, I'll just read it off here, at Edgbaston remains delicately poised with Australia 174 runs away from a memorable victory. England, though, are just 7 wickets away. They've got to get 7 of the Australians out before Australia scores that 174 runs, away from securing a win themselves after another astonishing day of Test cricket. Well, I've been following Test cricket, and I used to play cricket myself many years ago, and I've been following it for a long time, but never before have I seen cricket being played like it is at the moment. And it makes you wonder just where, for those of us who are purists who love the Test match form of the game, there are other forms of the game. There is the one-day format, which is 50 overs each, and then there's the 20-20 format, where it's 20 overs each. And in both those formats of the game, a lot of things have been introduced to make the game more interesting for the spectators and a bit quicker. In this day when everyone wants something to happen quickly, those two forms of the game cater for that, especially the 20-20. And there's huge amounts of money being made by cricketers, some that don't even make the top level in the test match arena, to play in competitions in Australia and in England and in India. And India has a bit of a stranglehold on all the money that's involved in cricket in some ways. So what we saw in this, what we've been watching in this test match is just quite remarkable. It's a whole different approach by the English team. They've calling this new approach by them. It's called Bazball, and it's named after the new coach of England and also the captain. And they are introducing a new approach to playing cricket, and it's got shades of the other formats where you get on with it, whereas in test cricket for 5 days it's usually a matter of patience where it ebbs and flows, but not so in these other forms of the cricket. So what's been happening and where is it all going to lead to? Just a few things off of the ABC News that I'm reading here. The first thing, there's 5 things they made here. Boots reverse ramp. Root's reverse ramp. Joe Root is a star player for England, and the very first ball he faced, he played a very unorthodox shot, which you don't normally see played very often in Test cricket. And not only that, he repeated it a few times. And then later on, I'll just read it here from the start of what it says here. If there were any questions about England's intentions heading into the penultimate day of the first test, they were once again answered by the first ball. Facing Pat Cummins with the game teetering, Joe Root tried an audacious reverse ramp. It's a shot he loves, but he missed everything on this occasion and looked pretty silly as a result. Unfortunately, unperturbed, the man from Yorkshire found his zone in the very next over, clattering 14 runs off 3 successive Scott Boland balls, including reverse ramps for 6 and for 4. England were off and running. And in that first hour, they really went berserk and they made a lot of runs. Interestingly enough, in this innings of England, no one made more than 50. A lot of them got what we call starts in crickets. A couple of them made 46, but no one made a big score. And we saw, when Australia were batting, we saw some interesting field settings. Now, in 20-20 cricket, they have certain times in the game where you're only allowed so many people inside a circle and so many people in the outfield. And bowlers are only allowed to have 4 overs in a match because it's a 20-over match, and it's a lot of, and they have these situations where they call a couple of surge overs, where you're allowed to do this and do that and not do this and not do that, where people can score quickly and freely, but they might get out while they're trying to do that. To me, it looks like Test cricket is going in that direction. And a lot of people are worried about how it's going. Some people are thinking, are we seeing the end of Test cricket as it used to be? Well, I think we are at the moment. And I would like to make a prediction that before much longer, to counter these different field settings and everything, they're going to bring in rules into Test cricket. It might still go for 5 days, but they're going to bring in rules, in my opinion, similar to what they've got in 2020 cricket and one-day cricket, where there are some restrictions placed, because it struck me, since I've been watching the shorter forms of the game over these last few years, why can't you go out in a Test match and just blast away and chance your luck, which is what they do now, what the Poms or the Englishmen have been doing in this match. And because the skill level of players these days is much higher than in my opinion, than when I played the game and others played the game. And so that's exactly what the English team have been doing. They've had an amazing last 12 months where they've won a lot of matches. They were at the bottom of the ladder for a while there, but now they've come back. And they're chancing their luck, or their skill, really. It's not luck. They've got really good skills, these players. And so I think Test match cricket is never going to be the same after this series, because of some of the strange things that the English people have been implementing. Although there's still a place, as the Australians are finding out, they haven't been playing the same game, or in some ways they've been counteracting what the English team are doing, but they're still in the game. And it's been interesting watching the betting odds on the telecast. I've been watching it for the last 4 nights. Tonight's the last night. It's been interesting watching. 1 minute people are in favour of the English people winning the test. The next 2 hours later, they're in favour of the Australians winning the test. So those betting odds have been teetering and tottering. Not that I'm a betting person, but it's interesting to note that the game is ebbing and flowing. So what are my predictions? Well, goodness knows, who knows? I think Australia could bring off a thrilling victory. They've got the players that could do it, like Alex Carey and Travis Head, and Usman Khawaja's still there, and Scott Boland can bat a bit too. He's the night watchman. And they could bring this off and have this huge upset victory over the Englishmen. Well, it's not an upset. Not too many people chasing the amount of runs. 282 runs, I think they've got to score in this second innings to win the game. So not too many people have scored that amount of runs in the fourth innings of a Test match. But I think the Australians are capable of doing it. But the other problem they face is that the last 3 batsmen in the team who are bowlers are not necessarily as good a batsmen as the last ones that were playing for last night, our time, Adelaide time. The Englishmen were playing quite well. They actually scored quite a few extra runs, more so than we would have hoped for as an Aussie. So I don't have high hopes about the Australian bowlers being required to, if they are required, to make the final runs required to win the match. But I have got hopes that you've got the likes of Alex Carey and Travis Head and Usman Khawaja and Cameron Green, who are still yet to bat, even though some of our top players who haven't been performing in this Test match have not really done a lot. But we've still got some good batsmen to come, and there's plenty of time, except there is rain forecast. So it's who knows who's going to win. You never really know who's going to win, although sometimes you can really work that out, because it's a funny game, cricket. So anyway, that's my rambling on about the Test match. I'll give you a report after I've finished, after the game's finished tonight. I'll give another report tomorrow on actually what happened. I'm going to put some links into, I've taken a lot of photos at Adelaide Oval over the time of Test matches, and I'll put some links underneath so that you can actually see some of my photos and some of my reports on previous Test matches that were played on Adelaide Oval, not only against England, but against other countries like South Africa and India as well, and Pakistan. So thanks for watching. Like if you like, subscribe if you wish, and I'll see you next time. And enjoy watching this last day of the cricket coming up in a few hours' time. See you later.